So when I tell people what I'm up to lately, they often have a similar reaction. They often ask me, why? Why are you focusing on this topic of manhood and self-mastery and excellence? Why not focus on finance or crypto or digital marketing? That's really where the money's at, bro. Isn't there enough of that manosphere stuff out there? Aren't there plenty of gurus out there teaching men how to be men? And I usually just nod and agree and respond with something like, I didn't think of that. That's interesting. Or I'll definitely look into that. And I just continue with my day because I'm not out here trying to proselytize to people at a coffee shop. But I figured I'd make a video where I answer that question directly here. What's my why? Why manhood? Why excellence? Why self-mastery? Before I answer that, and I promise I will answer that question directly, let me share some statistics with you. Testosterone levels in men today are about 25% lower than they were just 20 years ago. What? In fact, testosterone is dropping by 1% every single year. That means a man in his 20s today has the testosterone levels of a man in his 40s just a few decades ago. How? So just to clarify, testosterone, the very thing that fuels our manhood, the hormone that helps us build muscle, that gives us the drive to lead, to protect, to compete, is in straight up free fall. If you have a newborn son right now, by the time he's 18, the average level of testosterone will be 43% lower than it was in 2004. What? If that doesn't terrify you, I don't know what the hell will. But let's keep going. Sperm counts have dropped by nearly 60% in the last 40 years. Let me repeat that. Sperm counts have taken a 60% nosedive in the last 40 years. I am a boy! A study found that grip strength, which is a measure of a man's vitality, has declined from 117 pounds, I think in the 1960s, to 98 pounds today. So men today are weaker than the men of the last generation. But it's not just physical, it's also our mental health on the decline. In the US, 75% of all suicide deaths are men. And according to the CDC, suicide rates in men are increasing. This one hits home for me because in 2021, I lost my best friend to a fentanyl overdose. According to the CDC, about 70% of all deaths from opioid overdoses, including fentanyl, occurred in men. Approximately 49,000 men died from fentanyl overdoses in 2021 alone, and that number continues to rise. Now, I just put a little caveat in here. Obviously, women overdosing from fentanyl is just as horrific and just as tragic, if not more. We don't want any of it. It all needs to stop. I'm just focusing on the stats as they relate to men specifically here because, well, the theme is the crisis in masculinity. I speak about men and to men because I am one. And secondly, I have no idea how to relate to the struggles of a woman or how to motivate them. So I'm leaving that to someone more qualified than myself. But mostly because I think that if we help mitigate this crisis in masculinity and we have strong leaders with higher testosterone levels, then we would remedy a lot of these issues that are affecting both men and women. And we'd be much better off as a society. So there, disclaimer. Women matter too. Another crisis destroying the very foundation of manhood is fatherlessness. Right now in America, 1 in 4 children is growing up in a home without a father. That's 18.4 million kids, a whole generation, being raised without the guidance, discipline, and leadership a father provides. And we know that children raised in fatherless homes are at 4 times greater risk of poverty. They're more likely to drop out of school, struggle with behavioral issues, and even fall into crime and are subject to higher rates of incarceration. According to the CDC, nearly 43% of men in the US are obese.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. I'm saying.
Another major contributor to lower testosterone levels. The average man 18 to 34 spends about 8 hours a week playing video games. What? The average man age 18 to 30 spends about 4 hours a week watching pornography. A survey by the Global Action of Men's Health found that over 50% of men feel that society doesn't cater to their needs or adequately address their well-being.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
We don't.
A 2019 report from the American Psychological Association stated that men, particularly in their 20s and 30s, are experiencing rising rates of loneliness and social isolation, which are linked to declining physical and mental health. Check this one out. In 1960, around 80% of all working age men were in the labor force. By 2020, that number had fallen to about 68%, according to the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But just to be clear, over 30% of men today are just not working. In 2019, the National Library of Medicine reported that 30.9% of young adult men had not had sex in the past year. What? A notable rise compared to previous decades. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, I could keep going for like 10 minutes, but I'm going to stop there because I think you get the point. I didn't even touch the whole smartphone issue or social media addiction, which is a whole episode on its own. So to summarize, men are weaker than they've ever been, more demoralized than they've ever been, losing more sperm count than ever, experiencing a decline in testosterone, more obese than they've ever been, more lonely and less able to find a mate than ever, having less positive role models around than ever, committing more suicide than ever, dying from more overdoses than ever, watching more porn than ever, playing more video games than ever, and working less than ever. And your question for me is, why am I choosing to focus on this issue?
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness? Do you think you do?
I honestly can't help but laugh at that. How is everybody not focusing on this issue? Like, how are we not taking a minute to just look at what the fuck is happening right now? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that a society with a rising population of weak men is fucking vulnerable. We're sitting ducks waiting for a catastrophe to happen. It's not good for anybody, men or women. I have a teenage boy who's gonna have to deal with this world. So yeah, it's personal for me. I'll be gone soon and I'm terrified of the mess he's about to inherit. And I have daughters who are probably gonna be looking for a good man someday. And frankly, I'm not sure they're gonna find one at this rate. They'll either have to settle for some soy boy with low T.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Or some manosphere douchebag who's gonna want her to be one of his 12 wives. Neither of these options are good. So when you ask, aren't there enough people out there talking about this? Aren't there enough self-help gurus out there teaching men how to be men? My answer is clearly fucking not. Clearly not. If there were, we wouldn't be seeing these wild numbers I just read to you. I think even if there were 2,000 Tony Robbins out there specifically talking to young men, it wouldn't be enough. This is a crisis like we've never seen before, in my opinion, and it's going to take all hands on deck to right the ship. Plus, I think every man has a unique perspective and background that can help him contribute something different to the conversation. Different angle that can resonate with a different sort of individual. So someone who rocks with like Chris Williamson or Zuby, let's say, might not necessarily like my stuff. But on the other hand, someone who's from where I'm from and can relate to my story may like my stuff more. Who knows? All I know is that even if I can just reach 5 or 10 young men who are lost and I can help them avoid some of these pitfalls, then it's all worth it for me. That's my mission. That's my why. Now, part of fixing the problem is becoming aware of the issues and learning the stats as we just went over. But we also have to figure out what's causing the crisis. I believe it's a combination of many factors. Poor diet, processed junk, lack of physical activity, environmental toxins, smartphones, constant exposure to stress, the pressure to conform and to suppress what makes you masculine. So how do you change all this? Well, I believe it starts with mindset. I have a free PDF that breaks down the 7 steps you can take to lead a better life. It's completely free. I'll leave the link down below. You have the power to fight back. I truly believe that. Everything you need is within you.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
You want to raise your testosterone? It's time to get disciplined. Train your body like your life depends on it, because it does. You want to build mental strength? Start by getting rid of the junk, mental and physical. Eliminate toxic habits, toxic environments, toxic people. You want to break free from this crisis? Stop being a victim. and start becoming the man you were meant to be. That's what the Noble Crusade is about. It's not just a channel. It's basically just another way of saying the hero's journey. You ever seen one of those kung fu flicks where the dude starts off as a nobody, then he comes across some sensei who takes him under his tutelage. He trains for about a year or so and comes out of the cave a beast, and he kicks ass for the rest of the movie? It's a story as old as time. It's the Count of Monte Cristo. It's the Great Gatsby. It's every Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. It's the hero's journey. Every man must go through it at some point. But the Noble Crusade is more than that. It's a community of like-minded individuals getting after it together, offering encouragement, advice. We help you take control of your life and find meaning through self-mastery. If this is something you might be interested in, then hit that subscribe button. Join the crusade. See you on the other side.